Welcome to Midlife Mastery. I'm Brock Edwards, and this is the show where we're looking for ideas, information, inspiration on living an amazing second half of life. And I'm really excited for today's episode. But before we get into the episode, I'm excited about something else too. And really, so some of you who listen to Spotify, you've been getting those kind of the year-end wrap-ups, which showed which artists, which songs you listen to the most. Well, on the other side of things, podcasters and musicians also get those kinds of stats. And so, currently, right now, Midlife Mastery has been downloaded in 72 countries. I'm really excited about that. So it's gone up a couple countries since the last time I announced that. But on Spotify, just Spotify alone, not counting any of the other outlets where people listen to podcasts, Midlife Mastery is in the top 12% of most followed podcasts. And also very exciting, and this connects back to that 72 countries, we're in the top 20% of the most shared podcasts globally. And that just blows my mind. I am so excited about that. Thank you so much. I mean, this show, we don't really advertise. It just kind of grows word of mouth. And it just keeps growing and growing. And if you do want to share this with someone else, with friends, with family, coworkers, whoever, one of the easiest ways, of course, you can always direct them to the website, and that's just midlifemasterypodcast.com. But also an even easier way for people to sign up and subscribe to the podcast is just go to followthepodcast.com/midlifemastery. So just followthepodcast.com/midlifemastery, and you'll have several options on signing up, subscribing to listen to wherever is most convenient for you. Thank you so much again. And let me introduce today's show. We actually spend a lot of times talking about health and fitness, and you don't have to look around too much to see that many in the fitness industry promise, or at least strongly suggest, quick fixes and amazing results. But of course, that's not really how our bodies work, and it often leads to disappointment, to frustration, maybe injury, and the relentless search for that next miracle diet or miracle workout. But what if we approach it differently? So Nate Wilkins and Shebah Carfagna from Ageless Workout guest today to dispel a few myths and talk about their evidence-based ageless workout lifestyle. So they discuss approaching fitness from a health foundation, building solid habits and psychological skills to help us with those changes, getting past that quick fix mentality, and really embracing incremental and ongoing change, getting started with a health and fitness program, and 5 rules for choosing a doctor. Because one of the things they emphasize is a doctor is a key part of your fitness journey. And so Nate and Shebah bring a lot of heart and passion to helping others live healthy, fit lives, and that really shines through in this conversation. So if you're ready to play bigger with your life, let's get started. All right, so today we have Nate Wilkins and Shebah Carfagna, and we're going to talk about fitness and wellness and aging very well today. So for people who don't know you, don't know what you're about, can you just give a real quick kind of 30-second, what would your elevator pitch be? And Shebah, do you mind going first?
No. Thank you for having us on. We so appreciate it, Brock. I came to fitness very strangely. I was a gym rat and worked in corporate and have a special needs son. And eventually I got kind of drawn into the whole fitness thing because I wanted to work for myself and be an entrepreneur and really get passionate about it and help individuals like my son. And so that's how I jumped into it, took a lot of different certifications and just got really passionate about it. Love helping people. And that's where my heart is with helping people. So after years of studying many different courses and kind of certifications, we've come up with the Ageless Workout, which is for everyone. Nate?
So what's interesting, Brock, is that Shebah actually, when she talks about passion, she actually certified instructors, to make sure that they could actually do the job. And so I was one of those people that she certified. It's a second career for me as well. I was a Parks and Recreation administrator, traveling all around the country, making sure Parks and Recreation departments were up to date or programs up to date. But what happened to me is a couple of things. Health challenges, like so many other people, made me recognize that I needed to change some things about myself. But as life would have it, the opportunity was actually thrust upon me. I remember like it was yesterday, I was in a class with an instructor. He says to me, "Nate, come into the front of the class and teach a class." I taught that class. I got the fever from there. I taught more classes. Later on, became a manager, a fitness manager. Later on, that led us into opening up our own business. And then we find ourselves here as the Ageless Workout, tribe and Ageless Workout method.
So I'm definitely going to want to talk about the Ageless Workout method here, but before we get into that, I'm excited that you're kind of focused on this ageless piece, because I want to talk to someone who's been through my same struggles and challenges, and brings kind of that wisdom to it of how do we do this at this stage in our life, midlife and later. And so anyway, there's not really a question at the end of that. It was just kind of me saying, I'm excited to see people in this space because I don't think there's enough in that space. So what's your take on that, actually?
Well, we think life experience is a key factor. And so things happen to individuals that may lead them down a bad path in terms of eating, diet, everything that happens in life, the body breaks down. So, we do bring that experience, if you will, to the table. A lot of times we run across individuals when we talk about the wellness paradox and being accepted into some of these organizations that we don't have an exercise physiology degree. And that may be true. That wasn't offered when we were in college. However, you have to look at the whole parameters. And this is a big position of mine, is that do you want someone who has an exercise physiology degree who is 25, or do you want someone who has life experience, major heavy duty certifications, that continues to get recertified and reinforced and understands the space so well and live it well? And so you can be aspirational and inspirational to the people in that space. And that's where we make a difference and kind of like are trying to carve out our niche for what we do. I mean, we don't want you to start becoming ageless at 65 and 68. We want you to think about it in your 40s. And we're even bold enough to say that we could take your 17-year-old and guide him through, because we understand from our training what a 17-year-old is capable. He's not really finished growing. So you don't want to, interfere with his growth plate and other things, because he's out there trying to be strong. Right? When you say that's your area of expertise, young man.
Yeah. And so what you find is that younger people sometimes think that they can get there in an instance. And so what we're able to do is sort of help them sort of think through the process and slow it down. So, it's like going, if you're going to go to war, you want to go with somebody that's been there. They know where all of the problems are, so they can help you get there faster, as opposed to you running out there and saying, I'm going to get there, and you got to go through all of these processes. So that's the stuff that we bring to the table for younger people. But for other people, they look around and, like Shebah said, they get inspired. Maybe they don't want to lift as much, and we can help them find their way within that process. So what we talk about is meeting people where they are. And so that's one of our favorite things. We meet people where they are, and we allow them to grow in the process, as opposed to a younger person who may come in. Now, I'm not saying all of them. They may come in gung-ho, go, 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 go. Ours is a little bit different. It's the difference in terms of leadership, right? We don't pull on the rope. We tug it just a little bit, and we help people get there little by little by little by little. What happens is that they'll start to notice different things, that they're not hurting as much as they were before, or maybe they're more interested in getting up earlier or eating differently because they've seen somebody else that can do it. Because many of us have tried it time and time again and sort of lost our way.
I lost your way. I mean, I think that's probably a good way of putting it. You get to midlife, you've accumulated, well, all your habits. You kind of mentioned eating habits, those sorts of things, maybe injuries from your youth. And before we even started recording, Nate, you had mentioned that a lot of guys our age maybe don't make annual trips to the doctor unless it's kind of thrust upon them. So I don't know, where's a good place for people to even start thinking about kind of this fitness and wellness journey? If they're, probably like most, they've got caught up in other things, and now they're finally starting to look at, okay, life's passed me by. I'm getting older. I've got to start focusing on my wellness.
Go right ahead.
I think there is a certain psychology. And so what our research tells us in this space is there are certain years, and items that you must consider. So you have to take a look at your habits. What are your habits? And so we try to help you create better habits. So I'm answering the question from the back. You want to get cleared by a doctor first, so you get a basis. Then you want to go out and identify someone that you wish to work with at whatever level that is, in terms of a trainer, a Pilates instructor, whatever that is, finding what you enjoy doing. So the one option is you get a trainer. If you're not budgeted for a trainer, we suggest that you get out and walk. So there's many different things you can do to walk at a very basic minimum. You can go outside and walk around and have ecotherapy, which is a very new term in this space. We go out and listen to the birds. It can be very relaxing. A couple of weeks ago, Good Morning America talked about taking those few minute breaks, pushing back from your desk, because we've become a society that is always glued to the screen because of Zoom. Now people are working remotely. People aren't moving. They're eating more. They're not getting in the car driving. And, it's cool. It feels good. But then can you make yourself get up? So there's another aspect to that. But I think more importantly, you have to be, look at your numbers from your doctors and be true to yourself. Do you want to change those by taking a pill, or do you want to change those by, getting out, being more active? And I think that is the hardest thing for individuals to come to terms with, because Western civilization pushes that whole medicine instead of preventative. And while that's not bad, you want an outcome that doesn't put a Band-Aid on you. You want an outcome that is a life sustaining and brings you a better quality of life. And that's really what we push for, is that better quality of life. That's another one of our key terms, better quality of life. And that's what we want to see from everyone.
Yeah, I would approach that along with what she was saying, but I think that somewhere in there you got to get it in your head that you got to get it together. You've been around, let me make you laugh. What happened to me is that I used to laugh about the clothes that I was wearing. I used to say the clothes were getting smaller. They were making clothes smaller. That wasn't the case at all. It was me. I was getting bigger and bigger. When I looked around, I was some 230 pounds and didn't realize it. And so somewhere in there, I needed to change the way I was thinking. And so something triggered that for me. I had to then talk to myself differently, get myself out of the bed, put my shoes all beside the bed and get up and go do something about what I was laughing about, or that was taking advantage of me. So that's where I think, the mind has to first happen, and then the body will follow whatever you do or you tell the mind. That's how I look at it.
So how do you help clients kind of start to shift that mind? I mean, they show up wanting change. They want something different, but they've kind of got their mental habits as well, how they're thinking about themselves, how they're approaching things. And we are a society that wants fast solutions. We want quick fix, quicker maybe than the incremental steps that you're talking about. That's the way to do it, right? That's the way to shift over time. But yet people get impatient. So I guess, how do you help with that impatience or that initial mental shift?
Well, what our research tells us, and the scientific-based research tells us, is that you need to meet people where they are. So generally speaking, there's 100% of the population. 20% loves to work out. That would be us. And 80% deplores exercise and workout. So we try not to use the E word or the W word in that 80%. I think it's beneficial if you have an experienced trainer who understands what they're dealing with. And so when you meet a client for the first time, you want to be very open, and they will tell you everything that you want to know about them if you show interest. So they'll make it easy for you. No, I don't like to go to the gym. No, I don't know. I had a milkshake today. No, I like to eat late at night. No, I drink a lot. And so that begins to tell you what you need to do to then work with the client and meet them where they are. Another key one of our words, meeting individuals where they are. And we do that based on their lifestyle, what they tell us. And we develop a program around that, not only a physical program, a fitness program, but a psychological program to help them then gain the skill sets that they need to be successful long-term. And so there's a lot of thought to go into that. I train a woman who is a very famous model. Her workout is not exactly the same as someone else's workout. It may be slightly different because of what she needs. She's not going to go into the gym and get big muscles. That's not what she's looking for. She was looking to gain weight, and most women wish they had that problem, and to stay lean, but to be fuller in her 40s, which is different than a workout we would give perhaps someone like you. It could be the same workout. We would adjust it, obviously, because you're a man, and position it a little different with the overall goal of getting you to understand that it is an incremental change. It is about behavior, and it is certainly about the outcomes that you are guaranteed to see.
And I think sometimes you got to let people know that they don't have to look like what's on the cover of a magazine either. That it's okay that that you are where you are, and that you make incremental steps to get better and find little small things that they can celebrate and help them move along the spectrum. That's why we talk about meeting people where they are, because a lot of times it's confidence, right? We find that even with doing a particular exercise, some people feel like their balance is so off they don't even want to try it. So maybe they've fallen off the wagon with their diet or eating plan. And so helping people just a little bit at a time is probably where we think is it gets people off the dime and moving forward, and not beating themselves up so much about how many pounds. And, say, for example, if you like chocolate cake, one bite of chocolate cake tastes as good as a whole slice. So why don't you just start by just, maybe, don't say, don't eat the chocolate cake. Say, why don't you take a bite of it and see how that feels? I mean, that type of thing, I think, is what we do.
Reinforcing positiveness and not deprivation. So you don't want to reinforce deprivation. You want to reinforce good habits. So it's just a mindset turnaround, which is another one of our keywords. It's all about a mindset.
Yeah, that's a much different approach than much of the fitness advice you see out there. Much of it does seem to be very restrictive versus positive.
Engaging. We like to call it engaging. So we don't want you to look like us. We are not the models of fitness. We are kind of aspirational, inspirational, and able to meet you on your way. So if you think of it as a tour bus, if you went out of the country and you went to Italy and you got on a tour bus, you would listen to the tour guide and you would get off the bus and you would try the pasta, you would try this and that. We want you to be a partner with us. Our clients are partners. Okay. We are not dictators. We're not Major Payne, except in a boot camp or something like that. But we're always cognizant of our clients and where they are. And it's also a lot based on lifestyle. If you're a mom with 3 kids and you have to get them to school every day, that's your first priority, and you have a husband, and let's say everything goes wrong on that given day. We found someone who has something called the joy principle, where your women are all or nothing. I'm going to the gym at 7:00. It didn't happen. The bus didn't come. This kid is sick. That one's sick. And so what we found is, from this research of this person, and I can't recall their name, that you can do something later on in the day, even if it's for 5 minutes, and then you still feel accomplished. So it's this positive reinforcement of the mind. It's all about the behaviors and being okay. It's all good. Work-life balance. You can relate to that, can't you?
Absolutely. And let me ask, because you mentioned lifestyle, and at the start we were talking about the just ageless fitness lifestyle. So what does that encompass when you're talking about ageless fitness?
Well, again, we believe it's a mindset and making the decisions for you. We empower clients to move forward the best way that they can. And so, I have a client who people say to me, he's a heavy fellow, and, he had a life-changing experience. A lot of times we get clients with life-changing experience, and then everybody gets scared, and then they're ready to listen. Well, are they really ready to listen? No, they've had a life-changing experience and they don't want to die. That's what it is. And so, but you have to understand and listen to them to see where they are to move along. And I have individuals who say, well, that guy's really heavy. And, why don't you get him to lose weight? And why don't you, he is where he is. And that is fine with him because he understands it's incremental. And it's important to reinforce that and not let others dictate. That's where we are today. Everyone wants to look like some of the famous women out there who are formed the way they're formed. And I don't want to mention any names on your program, but most women are like, and they really don't care about their health. They're chasing what they see on Instagram. They're chasing what they see on social media. They're chasing what they see on TV, which is unrealistic. It's really very unrealistic. You have to be comfortable in your own skin, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So the other piece that I would give to you on that is not everybody is going to be like Shebah and I. We get up early, dark 30. We're like 4 a.m., 4:30-ish. And a couple of times a week, I would say 3 times a week, we're looking to go to our boxing fitness program. And that is not just hitting a bag, but you get calisthenics out of that. You get some burpees and, and you get to run up and down, the alley and avoid obstacles, and so by the time you get done with that program, you're really, you've really given a quite a bit. And then maybe two or three other times in a week, we're doing some functional training. That's what we call, our ageless, workout lifestyle. But at the same time, I would quickly say that we hit recovery too. We have massage therapists that we go to. We have our own machines, Theraguns or Hypervotes or anything that's related to this vibration so that we can get our tissue quality back in place. We're looking at how we consume, supplements, because we're at an age that supplements actually help us make a difference. We look at our sleep patterns. I mean, and we do some wearable technology at this point in our age. So that's kind of the lifestyle that we talk about, but not everybody wants that. So what we try to understand is, where are people right now, and how do we help them get to the place that what their why is, as opposed to our why.
And most of the Ageless Workout is all about recovery. So at this point, it is about those hard-hitting workouts. And so maybe we do a little more than most people. We don't suggest that anyone get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do what we do. What we suggest you do is you find something you like. So, that's something we like. What can I tell you? But you find something you enjoy doing, and you do it for a period of time, and you make that habit and commitment. But more importantly is the recovery time at this age. And again, the downtime in what you make better choices about eating, what you choose to put in your body for supplements. I mean, at this age, you're looking at supplements like a pro athlete. So everyone to us is a pro athlete. I don't care what they do. They're a pro athlete in our eyes. And you must treat them with that respect. You're trying to make them a more educated consumer. One of the things I tell my clients is, you may not always be with me, but you will remember the things that you spent with me. And typically we don't get to a client where a client says, oh my God, I got to get to Shebah so I can work out. No. It's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is that you want to come. I don't want you dependent on me. I have a lot more work to do in the rest of the world to be passionate about. And quite honestly, you just can't keep me for that long. People come in your life for a reason, season, and lifetime. And you have to understand that. So you give them something. I talk a lot to people about posture. Posture is so important as part of the Ageless Workout method.
Well, so let me ask this, because both of you mentioned supplements, and nutrition is often presented from the fitness community is kind of all or nothing. Like, this is the one and only way to eat. This is the one and only way to eat. And it changes month to month. But I don't sense that from you at all. I mean, you have a much, much more balanced approach. So from your experience, and I know every person is different, but in general, what are some of the supplements or nutrition things that people at this stage of life should really be thinking about?
Well, I think that's an interesting question. And I think one of the things I would do is, within our scope of service, we try to stay within our scope of service. So immediately, I'm going to refer you back to your primary physician, get a full blood workup. They will tell you what you're missing, which is a basis of a guide. Now, Nada is a precision nutrition certified nutritionist, which is a little bit different than my scope. But from a general perspective, and I'll let you elaborate on that. From a general perspective, I think your doctor will tell you, you need this, you need this, you need this supplement. And I think it's well worth that. They have a new organization out there called Go Forward, where you don't even need insurance anymore. It's $90. anywhere in the country, and you join it for the month. They don't even use insurance. You can go in, get your blood work in 14 minutes. So that is out there. I think from there, then you have to look at what your lifestyle is. Do you go out to eat every night? Do you cook at home? You have to look at the culture of what, of your heritage. Do you eat a lot of pasta? Do you eat a lot of beans and rice? We live in Miami, so there's that multicultural thing. We get to see individuals from all over the world and their habits, generally speaking. So, we make recommendations based on their lifestyle, but certainly from their doctor. And now I'll let Nate take this and answer, because he plans the nutritional supplements for me based on kind of the medical and kind of what he feels that I need to maintain muscle mass as a woman in her 60s.
Yeah. So let's be clear. The basic thing for Shebah and I in terms of the Ageless Workout is health. So the foundation is health. And so the first thing that we look at is, can we get it from whole food? The food that we eat, we want to make sure that it's healthy. So we shop at the best places. We try not to, try to cut corners on our food. So the whole foods. But then we also look at what proteins that we need to take in. So we find the best protein supplements, and I mix that protein in a drink where we also include collagen, because of this point, we're 60 plus. And so we want to make sure our skin and our nails and our hair and what have you, the hair I have, right? It's already. So we want to make sure that's in place. But then we also look at, calcium and magnesium. We also put in some BioFlex for joints. Now, these are things that we put in. Vitamin D. Sometimes we need vitamin C. So we put those things in our supplement mix. And then from time to time, we may look at adding just a small bit of tin. So these are, sort of things that we do for Shebah and I. Now, Shebah may be a little bit different in terms of her intake of, and we go around and around about this, her intake of protein. For me, I'm more of a fish and chicken kind of guy, and moving more and more to less of that and more plants. Shebah likes red meat and moving away from red meat as she gets older, and more plants. And so we look at some probiotics to throw in there. So these are the types of things that we've included that we think are sort of the basic building blocks of our nutrition or eating plan.
But you're best to start out with your physician and so they can give you a basis, because, one of the things we find is there is so much information out there that people oftentimes tell me, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. First place, your physician. Within our scope, we can make recommendations, but you're better off going to that person first and having a relationship with them, quite honestly.
If it's too much, then we always recommend people see a dietitian.
Yeah, nutritionist.
Well, let me ask this, and this may be a weird question, but most people, I think, when they go to the doctor is because they've got something wrong with them versus going in some sort of preventative sense. So what should they even ask their doctor for? When they call to make the appointment and the nurse says, well, what's wrong? And they're like, well, nothing's wrong. How do they start that conversation with the doctor? What kind of services should they be asking for?
Well, I think, and doctors are driven, and this is not a negative on doctors or physical therapists, are driven by insurance space, the space within insurance. So the first thing you have to do is find a doctor who accepts your insurance, or else there will be no conversation. I mean, the second thing after, because that's the first thing they say is, what insurance you have? And, and it's a reality. I'm sorry. It's a reality. It happens to me all the time. You try to go for a well woman visit at 65 and they're like, well, we don't take Medicare. Well, where am I supposed to go? Okay. And that's an experience I had this summer. I found someone that did, and it's fine. But that can put people off. It's not very inviting. And so once you have the correct physician, someone that you're comfortable with, or someone refers you to, which is always a good option. I think you have to say, I'm at this stage and I think my body's changing. There's so much information out there. I'd like to make an appointment and get a physical. oh, well, there's nothing hurting. What's wrong with you? Well, I just want to come in and kind of get an idea where I am. Maybe you can give me some, information on nutrition, or you can give me information on what I should be doing because I have had a hip replacement. I've had one. And you'll find a lot of times it may not be as informative as you wish, but it is a starting point that is covered by someone who has that scope of service. And then you can proceed to a trainer, or you can just go to a gym. Not everyone has budget for a trainer. And we're actually looking into how do we tap into this space of being a medical fitness trainer and using flexible spending accounts and health spending accounts. Are you familiar with those?
Can you just touch on those a little bit?
A flexible spending account is something that you get set aside from your employer. So they're tax-free dollars that you set aside that you can use for any kind of illness or something that you want that is the doctor deems medically necessary. Health spending accounts, the same thing. My understanding is it's not through a corporation. So say, for example, you worked for General Electric and they allow you to put $10,000 into your flexible spending account. And again, I don't know the exact numbers. I'm just using that as an arbitrary number. Your doctor can make you a medical fitness prescription. So if you had a heart attack, and that's really extreme, but I'm going to use that example, that you can hire a trainer to do cardiac therapy with you in a pool. And then you would use that $10,000 to then hire your trainer based on tax-free dollars, which actually saves you money and can make you a commitment. There's a big movement on with that now. And so that would make personal training or fitness or wellness training or medical fitness, whatever they want to call it, accessible to people to be able to afford it for their family, for whatever. However, if you don't have that ability, I mean, you can usually go to anywhere. There's so much digital out there. And that was one of the best things that came out of the pandemic is the ability to do things online.
So telehealth, right? Some telehealth may happen.
Telehealth is a good thing. And the other program I just mentioned to you, that Go Forward, I think that is an ingenious idea that's going to change insurance all the way around. You give them $90 a month, like a fitness membership, and you can get a telehealth doctor on the phone, go over, see them, put your hand in the screen that gives you all your vitals. You sit down, they take your blood, and in 14 minutes, you get your blood work back. Am I promoting them? Not necessarily. What I'm telling you is there's a quicker way than waiting 2 weeks for a blood test to tell you whether your A1C is too high.
So that's a great lead in, because the other thing, when you go to get your blood work up, doctors can actually find that you're low in XYZ, and they can make recommendations about, ways that you could improve, like Shebah just indicated, A1C. So A1C, they may give you some medication, but the other thing you can do with A1C is change the composition of your food, right? A little bit more exercise. So there are ways that doctors can find out if you're low in particular things. Like the other day, I went to the doctor and the guy said to me, "Hey, you're not drinking enough water."
Right.
I didn't realize I wasn't drinking enough water, but it was a doctor who told me that. So what am I doing now? Drinking more water. So it's that. I think that it goes right back to what she was saying. You got to find a doctor who understands. And then because they're so busy, sometimes they're not going to give you as much information as you need. So then you become your own healthcare advocate, doing some research, talking to people like us right now, because people like us sort of can help out and then we can lead people into some other places. I think that's how, it can happen today.
I think also if you go through these tests with a physician, it is not, the end of the world. So my A1C was high. So I am pre-diabetic. 88 million Americans are pre-diabetic. Is that a reason to put me on metformin? Absolutely not. And that's what my physician recommended, was metformin. Okay. What I realized is because I'm, in this space that I can change my diet. In 4 months, my A1C went down. So pre-diabetic is like around 5.7, 5.8. Diabetic is like 6.1, somewhere in that neighborhood. My A1C went down. But what it gave me a chance was to take a look and say, you know what? Maybe everything's not so good, And we share this with our clients. I think we are not the example. We are human like everyone else. So if we can show that we can change our behavior as allied health professionals, then you can do it too. And we can show you that. And I think that's what makes individuals come to us, because we are in that same space. We're not better than them. We're not worse than them. We're just looking for that better quality of life, just like them.
Well, what are some things like, men and women have different needs. So I'd love to hear from both your experiences. So Nate, what are some things that men should be thinking about at this time of life in terms of health, wellness, fitness?
That's interesting that you bring that up, because I actually have had my own, so I'm 68, I have my own challenges with prostate cancer. And, more times than not, when men hear cancer, they think I'm going to die. And so that was the case with me. And we went to about 4 different doctors to try to figure out what was going on with my prostate cancer. It ended up being what's called Gleason 6. And so, the doctor that I've been seeing has said, we're going to handle this by, sort of PSAs and looking at a biopsy, every 2 years to stay on track with that. Now that, that whole thing is frightening for most men, and some men would probably go get the new technology and get it taken out. But this doctor, for me, you said, we're going to go this way. And I feel comfortable with that. So all men have to be, I think, more aware and on top of their prostate challenges. I think that men need to be more aware of what's going on with their heart. If they've had some heart disease in their family, for sure, they need to stay on top of that. But at the same time, I think that with what's gone on with the pandemic and the changes that we see all across the country or around the world, some men have ups and downs, whether it be what I call PTSD or depression or what have you. So need to be aware of that and stay on top of it. And then the last thing that I think that men need to be aware of is that women are tired of telling them to go to the doctor and get yourself taken care of. And it's not their job per se for you to, and I'll let Shebah weigh in on that, but it's not their job always to make you take care of yourself, that you need to do that on your own and stand up and put your own big boy underwear on. Right, Shebah?
That's why we're the Ageless Workout couple, because we share everything with you. We share the real deal with you. But I think from everyone's perspective, please allow me to back up a second. I think what you have to do is say, I'm at this age and everyone's talking about this ageless. So ageless, that's partly how we got to the concept. Everyone wants to be ageless. People want 2 things. Okay, they want to be ageless and they want luxury. Okay, the luxury we can't give you, but we can guide you to agelessness. And I think you have to look at where you are with your age and say, you know what, maybe I should go get a checkup, male, female, whatever. Once you get to that physician, you should ask the physician to do a battery of tests for someone in your age group. So they look at a profile of your age group and run those tests. And then I think you become more specific about what your specific ailments are or your questions, even if you feel overwhelmed. The best thing you can do is be your own best consumer, as if you're buying a car, as if you're buying a home. And I think the days of when a doctor was your friend and a long time was your friend are gone, where you can trust that physician. If we have rules for physicians, and at some point I'll tell you the 5 rules before I select a physician. But I think you have to go through those battery of tests and have someone you're comfortable with. First person's not good, utilize your insurance and go see someone else. Ask the physician for a specialist. Nowadays, physicians don't do everything. They'll send you to another physician. And I think you have to be open-minded enough to take the time and understand that your body is important. It may take you 3 or 4 appointments. For women, I think that are in this stage of life where we change. I recently took a course on perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal. I think a woman's body changes. And I think those are conversations that have not been held, like a lot of conversations when we all came along. I think you've got to understand that your body is changing. I think you have to find a physician that is helpful. I am not opposed to a male physician. I think you should have a female physician as another opinion. because, it's like me giving advice as a prostate doctor. I think, and we have someone who is very close to us that is a woman who was recruited, was actually our client, but I think she can give you great information. But I think sometimes it's a little more sensitive if you have someone of the same sex who has gone through it. Doesn't have to be that way, but I find it's a little helpful sometimes. And I think you look at what is going on with your body and ask them to run a battery of tests. And that's a good starting point. If you like the doctor, fine. If you don't care for the doctor, you change,
Hey, Brock, what's interesting is Shebah alluded to a female doctor dealing with prostate. I actually had this doctor, and I don't know about you or about any other men, but my exchange with her was interesting. I couldn't believe myself. I was like, do you want me to do what? I mean, so
the difficulty was 30-second story. The difficulty was our primary recommended her to us to train her because she was having some issues with pregnancy. And Nate is the king of training pregnant women. She came to us as a client. She turned into Nate's physician. And so there was that great trust factor for me because I knew she would take care of him as a woman. And for him, it was a little awkward because he never expected to have the exam with a client that he trained. Okay, so there's my 30-second ends on that. But he went along with it. And I still think it was a great experience because I think a woman takes a little bit different care. It's an awkward situation. But, how do you think we feel with male gynecologists? For years, it was accepted.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is things are changing, and so men have to come to grips with that and be okay with it. I guess that's where I was headed with that conversation.
Well, yeah, I can only imagine how awkward that was. So, great story. Shebah, you had mentioned your 5 rules for choosing a doctor. Can you share some of those?
Well, it's interesting that you asked me. So I came up with these with a podiatrist that I've been going to for years. And we sat down, we talked about it, we joke about it all of the time. So I don't use a physician that has typically been practicing less than 5 years, not more than 25, 30 years, because they're only going to weekend courses to catch up. They must be some level of fit. And so my fitness gauge is not based on me, but they have to understand that they need some sort of activity to be out there. I think they have to have a great bedside manner. I think if you don't have someone you can talk to, I think gone are the days where the doctor dictates to you and he's unkind and he's nasty. You have to have someone that you have some sort of interaction with, and someone who is sensitive to you. I can never work with a physician that is not sensitive to me. And a lot of times I think a referral is always a good thing. It doesn't always work out so well, but I think a referral can make it a little more comfortable. If I suggest that you go to see this individual and I've had this experience with them, and I've done that with the doctor who did my hip replacement. I had a hip replacement in 2018. I went back to work as a trainer in 8 days. Because of the training, the prehab and the post-hab was all there for me. And so that's kind of where I got into this whole thing about medical fitness and joint replacement. And then how do you function after that? Because if you go into the physical therapy space, that's a billable space. They're in there trying to bill. And so if you get your left hip done, and it's a total hip replacement. When you get to physical therapy, they only work on your left hip because that's all they get paid for. So you need to have someone like a medical fitness individual, allied professional, to support what the physical therapist and the orthopedic surgeon recommend to work on the other side of your body, because your body is forever changed. Can I do plyometrics better than I did before at 65? Better than people in their 30s? Absolutely. However, one leg is longer than the other. So how do I manage that? And we call this another one of our key pieces. Manage the condition. Don't let the condition manage you. You cannot let the condition manage you no matter what that is. Life situations, fitness situations, chronic situations, disease, children, spouses. You have to then put your arms around it and say, you know what? I really need to manage this. Maybe not all today. And so managing the situation is, the condition. And so that's what I do. I have orthopedics. I still run a little funny, but I manage it, and you have to kind of adjust to that. The body's going to break down, but it is the quality of life that you're looking for, that cognitive, interaction, that ability to have a strong body, to have longevity, not have your children take care of you at any age. You want to be able to chart your own destiny for as long as possible.
Well, as we start wrapping up today here, I've got to ask, so, we've covered a lot of ground. And one of the questions I'm always interested in is, where do people get in their own way? You've already mentioned one of them, like people may be less inclined to go to the doctor, but where are other places people get in their own way?
Lack of experience. If you put any of us in a courtroom, would you be able to defend yourself as a lawyer?
Yeah, probably
it's not what you do. Right. It's not what you do. And I think people get in their own way a lot by thinking that they can manage this on their own, or I'm not going to deal with it. I received a new client the other day who's 90 years old. She doesn't go to the doctor, doesn't want to go to the doctor. And believe me, I can certainly relate to that. But I think, she had some wit to call me because she's feeling a little imbalanced. And so I work with her where she is. I'm not going to encourage her to go to the doctor, I think people are in their own way because they don't want to face the reality of the inevitable. I think there's fear. I think there's fear of knowing. Some individuals don't want to know. We're comfortable. We're creatures of habit. One of the things we suggest, and another one of our keywords, is pivoting. You have to learn to pivot your lifestyle, and then to do the DLAs. DLAs, if you find that you cannot do your daily living activities, then you need to take a step back, And I think those little things are small things that can get in the individual's way. People say, well, I used to be able to bend over, but, I don't need to get up off the floor. Yes, you do. The reason that people over 65 pass away is not because of the chronic condition. It's because they slip and fall and they never recover. So, I think with all of us, we have to become true to ourselves. And let me let you get a chance.
So my whole thing is people thinking that they know, or they have at least the answers. We saw a guy today, and I see him quite a bit, doing exercises that I know that are wrong, and they're not willing to invest in a coach or a trainer because they've seen it on YouTube or seen somebody else do a particular exercise. Nothing worse than somebody grabbing some heavy weights and then dropping the weights on themselves. But that's an extreme example. But what I'm saying is that thinking that you know the answer and you really don't know the answer. And so sometimes when we lift weights a certain way, we don't see the injury almost immediately. It's later on that we find out that we did something wrong. So thinking that you have the answers because it looks so easy. And then the last thing I would say is people think they can mail this stuff in. They think they can buy what we offer. They may pay for for the coach or the trainer, but you still got to put the work in. And you can't talk it up. You can't act it out. You got to do what it takes to get it done. And you got to be consistent. So I think those are the things that, or what I call getting in your own way.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Well, where can people learn more about you? So Nate, I believe you've got a couple books on Amazon that I saw, and out there, you guys, both of you are putting a newsletter out, and I know there's websites. So where can people find you if they want to learn more about you and take on some of this wisdom?
Well, we have a couple of websites, agelessworkout.com, and we're updating that, and panachefitness.com. And so on those sites is basically just information. They're informational sites only where you can join our Zoom classes, which are a couple days a week. We have a committed crowd. We don't have many, but we have a committed crowd. That's like a percentage of our business. We have a book out called The Ageless Workout that is on Amazon, and it is currently in its second edition. So we're doing some rewrites based on our new research and evidence that we'd love to share with anyone. We're on LinkedIn. And so we just got updated our LinkedIn account where we're looking to really reach a different market now as opposed to the Instagram market and get a little more engaged in the business side. And of course, the newsletter comes out once a month. It's a short read, but we find it to be very informative subject matter relative to everyone at every age. And it tells you where to find us on our social media, talks about a member of the month. We highlight someone that has put the work in and that is relative to the mindset. And what else do we have? That's it. And you can always call us.
And so that's basically it for, we actually, think that the newsletter is probably the most valuable piece that we have.
Well, it's a valuable piece of interaction because it comes across your desk and you see it every so often. We don't sell anything on it. It's purely informational and to build what we call the tribe, the AWT, Ageless Workout Tribe.
Well, sorry. So tell us a little bit about the tribe.
Well, the tribe is like-minded individuals that are seeking to live a better quality of life. And that's how we sum it up. Like-minded individuals looking for a better quality of life. Your quality of life is not mine. It's not all the same, but we are looking to age well. And so as long as you can do the things with your children and your family and manage your conditions, you're living a better quality of life.
And we got that idea. If you understand what's happening in blue zones, then social connection. And so if you look at the overall general concept of what we've put together in terms of Ageless Workout Tribe, that social connection with like-minded thinkers and doers is a key piece. So that's why we came up with the tribe. And the tribe are people in New Zealand and Germany and all Brazil. They're all over and they're encouraging each other and other friends through the newsletter or whatever activities they're taking on, whether it be a 97-year-old lady in Kansas City, Missouri, who's still kicking it, or an 84-year-old who's on a treadmill. I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, these are the people in the tribe.
The wide variety of our clientele.
Love it. Love it. Well, it has been awesome having both of you on today. As we wrap up, I encourage people to check your stuff out. And thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having us. It's really been our joy to be a part of your program today.